What's up? Hey. Look, the cutest thing you'll see all day. Hamlet staged by children.
Welcome, sir. I do hope you enjoy yourself.
Enjoy the evening, sir. There is still plenty of time before the grand finale.
All right.
What if I write an article about these people here? Can you help me gather information about Cordona's elite?
Sherlock! Friend! I wasn't sure you'd come.
Werner, I see you are not yourself.
The more time you spend here in Cordona, the more I feel it my duty to bring you into our world and show you all we have to offer.
And what is on offer today?
Pleasure, indulgence, relief, and relaxation. You've earned some time for yourself, have you not?
Those who know me would say I'm incapable of it.
Nonsense. I refuse to believe there is anyone permitted to know Sherlock Holmes.
You may be right.
Then free yourself from inhibition and expectation. The night is young, and so are the guests. You should try to enjoy both. It's not healthy for handsome men to spend every night alone, and certainly not in a house filled with such melancholic memories.
I must admit, my travels have proven more taxing than expected. I'm less confident in my life and myself. A time of relaxation seems a distant dream.
So can I tempt you with a physical aid to your moral consolations? There's wine, of course, something to smoke, or perhaps an artificial paradise? Yes, something more spiritual, a potentiator to sharpen the mind. A 7% solution of, well, that'd be telling, but you must try it.
My mind already operates at a far higher level than most. I struggle to believe anything could improve it. My ultimate duty is to provide the world with truth, and I do that perfectly well as is.
Duty? You've never cared about that before.
Of course I do. Exposing a lie, revealing a fact, that is a moral responsibility.
That's not morality. Morals are what happens afterwards when truth collides with consequence. Do you ever follow up on cases you solved? Do you ever see what happened next, visit the victims, ensure justice is served in the courts? And how do you choose where to direct your attention? Are there not deserving causes to which your brilliance could be applied but isn't?
You ascribe me more power than I possess. I have a narrow skill set and work within that mandate. What occurs afterward is irrelevant.
With every action or inaction, you place a finger on the scales of morality. Many in the city would see you as abdicating your responsibility.
I haven't.
Not me, of course. Morality is subjective, just like truth. There is little to be gained from indulging in it, and far better things to indulge in. Now I must insist on easing any burdens I've placed upon your shoulders. Show yourself a kindness, and try this rather delectable concoction.
If this solution truly does assist with thinking, then perhaps it would be puerile to overlook an opportunity to study it. I'll take it with me.
Yes, Sherlock. Very good. And now, our evening begins in earnest. I just remembered. I'm sorry, Sherlock. My mind's delightfully impaired. Please take this key. It opens the altar room, past the library.
Pardon? Altar room? What now, Werner?
Go quickly and find our Fabio. Only you can make him talk. I'll join you in a minute.
Manchos had to enforce the masks after the scandal. Manchos had to enforce them. Manchos had to... Manchos had to inform...
We've got to fall back, Sherlock. I think they're suspicious. Or they were checking you out.
Manchos had to... Manchos had to...
My goodness, Sherlock. They made a...
No, John, it's definitely not blood, just wine. And you still need a crack, despite being a theory.
That's what I like about this party. Bring me more dirt, Sherry. One more piece, and I can expose these base hedonists.
Manchos had to...
I'll pin them down with this scoop. Thank you, Sherlock. My God. Was he here this whole time?
This crude tattoo partially covers as slave branding. This golden handle has a bloodstain on it. The dagger is heavy and sharp, but lacks balance. This worm-like sigil has been drawn with his own blood. The victim has clenched the fabric so firmly in his fist that it's nigh impossible to remove it. A blunt-force trauma may have suffered an internal hemorrhage. The wound is deep. A precise strike reached the heart. He died right here. Werner, care to explain what is going on here?
On nights like these, it's not unusual for some attendees to get a little exuberant. It's part of the appeal. Unfortunately, it appears things have gotten out of hand. Yes, some are more prone to bend the rules of morality.
That's murder. I doubt there's anything left to bend. Why did you not tell me immediately? We were chatting about trivial matters for some time.
If I'm completely honest, Sherlock, I've consumed a rather potent cocktail of substances. My attention slips and drifts. But I'm glad I thought to call for you.
You sent me a disguise.
Oh dear, did I? Well, since I found the body, Mr. Manchios has agreed that you can investigate the matter. I promise my mind will behave itself going forward.
All right, then pull yourself together, Werner. How did you discover the body? In between guzzles of alcohol?
I was set to perform in a fecundity rite with Fabio and came to inquire further. It was a staged ritual where he was to play the principle of life.
And the rehearsal was unsuccessful?
Huh, who knows? I found him alone on the altar, his blood dripping to the floor.
And then?
Then I called Mr. Manchios. He was panicking, so I told him about you. We left the room and locked the door. Then we were...
Filling time?
Waiting for you was stressful. We indulged in some simple comforts. Overindulged, perhaps.
Mr. Manchios is the owner of the manor, yes?
And the host of Cordona's most memorable parties. He promises even the ugliest guest a partner for the night. And for the ones with more unconventional tastes, Mr. Manchios provides other services.
What a caring person.
You cannot begin to imagine.
Were you well acquainted with Fabio, the victim?
Everyone knew Fabio, or wanted to. His beauty was the talk of the island. Too handsome to go unnoticed. He was magnetic. Fat wallets fought for the privilege of having him. He offered the pleasures of performance, and more.
What about the fertility ritual? There was something about Fabio being a principle of life.
Fabio was supposed to portray the beauty of life's origin. Flowers, oil. Not this travesty that seems straight out of the Inquisition.
So this ritual is not the fertility rite. What was it meant to look like?
It begins with a woman lying naked in a flower bed on the altar. She represents Gaia, the earth. As I cover her in oils, we chant for the principle. As our calls reach a climax, Fabio enters and copulates with her. After he finishes, I stab her with a dagger. That part's just pretend, of course.
But the intercourse is not?
I did not expect you to be such a prude. Are you a virgin? It is nothing to be ashamed of, but it would explain the color of your cheeks. The fertility rite marks the start of our festivities. The principle of life is beautiful, intimate, essential. It must not be stopped.
Yet it appears that someone did stop it. What about the naked woman? Can you tell me anything about her?
Oh, yes, Matista. She's one of Fabio's compatriots and a performer, too. I haven't seen her today, actually.
When you discovered the body, was the door open?
No, it was locked. Oh, that reminds me. It's a minor detail, but the first time I came to speak to Fabio, I left without entering, having been unable to open the door.
You didn't have the key?
No, I had it. Don't look at me like that. I was mostly sober. I suspect there was a key in the other side of the door, blocking the lock.
That detail may very well be major, Werner. Well done. So you returned later only to find the lock was not blocked?
Correct. After an hour had passed, I tried again and was able to unlock the door. That's when I discovered poor, handsome Fabio.
The police remain unaware of this tragic event?
Some of them may be hiding behind their masks. They conceal many things. But we didn't want the authorities to create more problems. Besides, after a few cocktails, their incompetence will have soared to new heights.
How do you know I even want the case?
I promised you relaxation. If there's one thing I know about you, Sherlock, it's that nothing soothes you more than a good mystery.
This elaborate box must be for the ritual dagger. The ointment smells This oil has a slight aroma of flowers and olive. The herbs here are Salvia divinorum. They have a slight hallucinogenic effect to emphasize the ceremony. An open wound spoiled the carpet. Enough cigars to burn down the entire mansion. Why don't people tidy up after themselves? It didn't break only because it was unopened. The wounded person was here for some time. A bloody handprint on an armchair. Identical to the robes the guests are wearing. A person leaned against the doorframe. They left a smudged trail of blood. There appear to be no further traces leading to the altar. Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set. Handcrafted and luxurious cufflinks. There's also a note. For my Fabio, Manchos. The capital F on the key fob might refer to Fabio. The key is similar to the one that Vogel gave me.
Would you recognize me in one of these? I suppose not.
Similar to the guests' robes, apart from the bloodstains. The pitcher is empty, but with puddles around it. Blood clots are adhered to the sides of the drain.
You've got a lot to do, Sherlock.
Props, decorations, and tools for a more detailed set. This is a different ritual.
How can anyone accept such behaviour?
A useful tool for a disguise arsenal.
So, Sherry, do you have any ideas about the case?
Perhaps. I think I can deduce what happened here. The bottle was used as a weapon during a scuffle in the smoking lounge. Then, to ensure no one would interrupt, the murderer locked the door. The unconscious body of the victim was moved to the altar room. Once the body was on the altar, the murderer thrust the dagger into the victim's heart. Symbols were drawn with the blood. The wardrobe was used to hide the bloodied robe from anyone's eyes. The killer washed himself and took a clean robe from the hanger before leaving.
Are you all right? You're on the floor, not moving.
I think I know what happened here. I'm starting to put the pieces together.
Fabio was stabbed.
I see nothing gets past you, Werner. Yes, he was stabbed, but only after being knocked out in the next room and placed here. I do not yet know why.
So, who's responsible?
Well, it was one person working alone, and the murderer has now donned a robe. He or she could be hiding in plain sight. We have lost time, Werner, but your discretion may prove to be a benediction after all. The murderer had to have access to this room. After the crime, he used his own key to lock the door. So, who had the key to the altar room?
I'm not sure. As a special guest, I was provided one by Mr. Manchios. He should be able to tell you of any others.
Where can I find him?
Most likely in the main hall, entertaining his guests. He has a mask with golden stars. You can't miss him. But please be discreet. We don't want to risk disturbing the revelry.
Kurt Manchios, I presume? I'm Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, you must be the one Werner told me about. What a sweet voice you have. It must belong to a handsome young man. Can I call you Sherlock?
As you wish, Mr. Manchios. Mr. Vogel asked me to help you. The body in the altar room requires answers, and quickly. I suspect the murderer to still be here.
What? Lower your voice. I don't want anyone to hear us.
I need to find all those who had the key to the altar room. As far as I know, Mr. Vogel, Fabio, and you had access to it. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Also, Matista and Santos.
Santos? Who is that?
Santos Pinchetti, my major domo, in his opinion at least.
I'd like to speak to Mr. Pinchetti and Matista. Do you have somewhere I might have a private conversation with them?
Of course, of course. Let me think. Matista is entertaining the guests somewhere, and Santos... Oh, yes. He will be busy with the servants. Or the cook. What's that noise? What's going on?
Freeze, filth. You're under arrest.
Look at you. Committed a crime, and now I have to free you, kiss your hand, and apologise for the inconvenience.
I did tell you that Mr. Vogel and I were innocent. I emphasized it in my statement.
Your statement? Thanks to some bigwigs who work for the so-called good of the country by releasing fleas like you. Thank God we have Vogel in his letter. Once I get to that goldfish, I'll...
Bigwig. Oh, my wretched brother Mycroft and his long nose.
Wait, did you say Mycroft? Mycroft Holmes? Are you the youngest son of Violet Holmes, rest her soul?
You knew my mother?
Not personally, no. Not exactly. I was working on the paperwork for that case.
Would you happen to remember anything of the events?
Well, I didn't make the inquiry, but I remember seeing some notes. Why?
You must help me. It would mean a great deal to me if you could find any information about that day.
Huh. Got you hooked, right? You know what? Stark and the others think they're the smartest here, thanks to you. Let me get this straight. Are you listening to me, lad?
I'm all ears.
Take this case. Report to me only, to Constable Harvey Oswald. I'll leave everything I have on this table. Find the murderer. Be a real copper. Question the suspects, make them sing, give me something substantial.
And if Mr. Vogel is not a suspect?
If he's innocent, then you can take your favourite degenerate away from here. If you slip or mess with the evidence, then trust me, your brother won't save you from my bludgeon. Meanwhile, I'll be checking the archive for you. If anybody asks, then you're a consulting detective.
Let's make a start then, partner.
I'm glad we managed to get the scoop before the raid.
Back on track to solve the case.
Look, I found Werner.
Did you hear Basilio Capello is in jail? A dead body was...
Good day. Your ticket, please, if you want me to help you.
I'd like to check the evidence from this case.
And who are you?
Oswald sent me. I'm a consulting detective.
His partner, then? Let me see. Ah, a ritual murder. What a bunch of degenerates. Wait a second. I'll bring it to the table.
It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone. A heavily perfumed handkerchief with the initials KM in the corner. All the keys of the mansion on one golden ring. A handcrafted charm that contains hair and nail clippings. Her key to the altar room. That's not for bedtime reading. This ex libris belongs to Manchios Library. The book describes a ritual similar to the one performed in the altar room. An emergency kit for boredom. Not the time for privacy. It's a miracle this ruby hasn't tempted anyone. Werner's personal sketchbook. Thank you, officer.
Did you hear Basilio Capello is in jail? A dead body was found in his
Good day, Mr. Manchios. I am Constable Oswald's partner in this investigation.
Be quick and gentle. Some of your colleagues are untrained boors. Although I don't mind meeting young officers. The new blood here.
If you cooperate in finding Fabio's murderer, there will be no need to meet with the boars again.
That voice. Werner's friend? You're the policeman. What a disappointment.
Only an undercover agent can scour a ditch full of deviants. I am a consulting detective, although I'm capable of replacing the entire department through my consultations.
Sharp-tongued, I like it. May I presume this tongue will get us out of this trouble? I would be so indebted and glad to repay you.
Nothing's changed. I'm looking for the murderer. That's the only way to get us out of trouble.
But it shouldn't take much time, correct? We're all busy, after all.
I need to examine you first. You are so focused on cleanliness that these products are severely damaging your skin.
I would laugh at you. Ha! If only my cheeks didn't hurt. Not exactly. I try to take care of my body. A young man who has yet to confront his own aging couldn't hope to understand.
These chemicals are quite literally melting your face.
Ah, the price of beauty. I'll be fine. I'm sure of it.
Such a methodical man who cares for his body but misses the soap under his fingernails. Are you so impatient, or perhaps even impulsive?
I wouldn't call myself that. Silly little details. If I missed it, it wasn't important. Or rather, it was less important than who or what I was focused on.
What was Fabio like? His personality, his habits? Anything you can tell me?
He was the brightest star of my parties. Young, magnetic, and full of energy. I don't even want to mention his beauty. Otherwise, I'll be sobbing.
An expensive champion, I imagine.
His performances were flawless. He deserved his payment. Do you think he was murdered because of money?
Possibly. What about the other guests? Were they used to opening their wallets as well?
I wouldn't restrict my guests from anything. I'm sure Fabio received a few coins from others for his services.
Mr. Vogel told me a little about your parties, but I would like to know more directly from you.
I'm all yours, Sherlock. You have me arrested and locked here with you alone.
I'd like to know who you usually invite to your parties.
Free minds who are able to leave reality for an evening, who can taste forbidden fruit without prejudice. There is nothing that quite spices up life like these parties, assuming one is old enough and has worked many years for the good of one's country.
All true laborers, I see. Why did you invite Mr. Vogel as your special guest?
He's a pretty fellow. He's capable of surprising the public. He has a talent for saying words that no one else would wish to either say or hear.
I suppose I can't argue with that.
He is a free addition to the eccentricity of the party, which is fine by me, as long as it enhances my party.
I've read this letter from Fabio. It had no addressee, but it was found in Mr. Vogel's pocket.
Werner? Strange. I didn't think the two of them corresponded.
I'm sure there is some explanation. Would you care to read it?
Call me superstitious, but I don't care to read a letter from a dead man.
Do you recognize this book? Could Matista have borrowed it from your library?
She didn't ask me. How ungrateful.
The things described in the book were inspiration for the rituals you performed?
Do you really believe that blood, symbols, and incantations can resurrect the dead? They are just eerie tales with a mix of occultism and voodoo. My rituals are a stage to show some of the forbidden pleasures. That's not something I know much about.
Do you have any idea who tipped off the police to raid your mansion, Mr. Manchios?
Of course. It was you. I could even say you Sherlocked me in here.
A good guess, but the wrong one. The fellow who did that was Mr. Pinchetti, your major domo.
What? Santos? But how could he even know? If he's not the murderer himself. The ungrateful swine. He has dared to besmirch my reputation.
Not a very eloquent choice of words.
What should I call him then, since he's a snitch? Make him talk, Sherlock. I'm quite certain he knows more about the murder than he has told the police. I've no idea about that. I've no idea about that. I've no idea about that. That's not something I know much about. 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 I've no idea about that. You'd better ask someone else. You'd better ask someone else.
You bought an expensive pair of cufflinks for Fabio. Were they his price? Or were they a tip for an exclusive show?
It was pure business. Fabio escorted me a few times. I was merely showing my gratitude.
This pair cost a small fortune. You must be extremely grateful then. Tell me more.
You've thrust a knife in an exposed nerve, Sherlock. Yes, he was my protege and my beacon also. With my experience and his beauty, we could have achieved anything. I had faith in him. I would have made him.
I'm Sherlock Holmes. I'm helping Constable Oswald. You are Matista, Fabio's friend.
This body, yes, it's Matista. But it's a mere shell that will die someday. Just like Fabio.
Please accept my condolences for your friend.
Thank you.
I'm just here to ask questions and find Fabio's murderer.
It will not bring Fabio back.
Fabio and yourself were slaves, am I correct? You have a similar branding on your body.
Yes. It was a long time ago.
Couldn't help but also notice fresh cuts upon your forearms.
The cuts helped me to forget my past, to cover the old wounds and hide them.
How did you escape?
Something happened. One night the master fell down the stairs. I made him fall, and he died. We ran away that day. We managed to get on a ship and traveled here, to Cordona. Fabio and I started a new life here. It was very hard at first, but it became better with time. Until today.